Hello and welcome to Dash 28 Live. I'm usually your host, Mike Atkins, but tonight I'm taking a back seat and letting Greg Pearson take us through the wonderful world of everything that's going to be happening at Harvest of Souls GT this weekend. So take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Mike. So my name's Greg. I'm one of the Unplugged Gamers gaming group out of the Northeast, and we're very pleased to be running our Harvest of Souls GT, which is kind of a secondary event to our main Unplugged GT, which happens in the spring. But Harvest is a lot of fun. It's got more of a laid-back atmosphere. We have a little bit of a Halloween spooky theme going with the event every year, which is fun. And we're going to run you through the round one matchups. So a couple of basic things. The event is going to take place this weekend, November 13th and 14th at Manchester in Connecticut. 1995 points limit to mix things up. 5 rounds. We ended with 24 participants, and our tournament organizer is one of our club members, Jim. So a couple pieces of background information just for you on this screen. Out of those 24 participants, we have a really good mix of armies. As you can see, there's no single one that leads the pack. A handful of them that there are 2 players, and then the majority only 1 player bringing. Only 1 player opted for allies, and it's kind of an interesting choice, as you'll see when we run through these lists. And a little bit of information here about unit strength and units. So across all those 24 lists, the minimum unit strength is 16, and the minimum number of units is 9. But then the maximum, quite a big leap here, 30 unit strength and 22 units. And then I also included the average for you to see, so you can kind of compare your list against what most other folks are bringing. So we're going to go through each matchup. We're going to spend 5 minutes. I'm not going to have much to say. The lovely judges that are arrayed here before you are going to be taking the reins and discussing who they think is going to win each match and why. So let me introduce you to your hosts. You already know Mike, the master of Dash 28 and Dash 29 Atkins. Beneath him, we've got Mike, fuck it, I'll just play dwarfs anyway, Rossi. Beneath that, we've got Ashley Smashley, the Canadian killer, Moat. And then we've got Jake, gotta catch 'em all, Cherapika. And last but not least, from the West Coast, we've got Brinton, Riftforged Orcs. What about Fancy Orcs, Williams? How you doing tonight, folks?
Doing good.
Oh, yeah, just cracking.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. So before we get into the individual matches, we're also going to reveal for you the scenario for round 1 and the terrain. So we're playing Salt the Earth, and one thing that has kind of become a staple of the Unplugged Gamers events over the past few years is any scenario where you have to deploy tokens, we just go ahead and put them in the terrain map for you to try and build tables that have a little bit of strategy going into the table rather than trying to set it up as you and your opponent alternate placing those. So this is the one where the tokens, the objective markers, can be destroyed at the end of a turn. All of them except for the central one. And then at the end of the round, they're worth 1 point for each one that you control. In terms of the terrain, what you're seeing here, we have hills, which are height 3, forests, height 9, buildings, which are impassable terrain, height 7, got a couple of flat water features, and a couple of walls. At any point, folks, while we are going through these matches, for you judges, if you want me to call up this map so you can reference it, just let me know and I'll pull it back up for you. And last thing I want to explain before we go into the first match. There's going to be a little bit of competition tonight with each of you judges as to who can be the most accurate in your predictions for the matchups. And to help us with this, I'm going to use both positive and negative reinforcement. So if you have the highest accuracy in predicting these matchups, you will receive a prize. If you have the lowest accuracy in predicting these matchups, you will also receive a prize. And it's going to be one for the books. So
I'm concerned.
All right, so I'm going to
I'm
pull up.
excited and now tanking my score just to get those illicit pictures of Greg.
That's
Maybe it's
first
like-
place prize.
I thought you already had this. All right, so I'm going to pull up the first matchup. You'll see on the screen here that it's just a simplified version of their list. If you want me to pull up the easy army, all you got to do is shout it out, and I can pull up their easy army versions. So table 1, we have the Great Khan, and his army is goblins known as the Mungdrool Empiahh versus Jeremy and his elves. 5 minutes, folks. Take it away.
I would just like to point out already that Jake literally in the chat was like, how do you get 30 unit strength at 1995? This is how.
As I
This
was
is how.
saying it, I had a feeling it was Khan.
I was like, with goblins.
I will say, so Khan at Crossroads ran a lot of the Fleabag Riders, which I thought would be in this list, which would be amazing in this scenario, but his list is actually a little bit smaller, like slower, but much more shooty, which is going to be interesting against the very combat-heavy but elite elves. If I was the elves, I would not want to see this across the table.
Yeah, that was sort of my thought, which is I think elves can be really strong at lower point values, especially in sort of V2. They can be oppressive because it's really hard to actually flood the board against them, and their elite units get to fight a smaller number of elite units on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Other side, just thanks to the lower point value. But in this matchup, he does flood the board.
Yeah, he just said, hold my beer, and then...
And also, the elves are bringing a lot of advantages that this army just doesn't care about.
Right.
Like, great, you have crushing. We don't care. So this goblin list is great. It floods the board. It has all the sort of utility pieces you need to sort of actually kill things with the goblins. Sure, the elves can salt tokens and fight over like a limited front, but with the wingets, anything they're not sitting on turn 6 or 7 is still up for grabs. If I walked up to this matchup cold, I'd just rather have the goblins. But I also expect that tree herder to never die in this game.
Yeah.
That's valid.
There's
All
nothing
right,
on this
I'm-
board that should kill that tree herder.
I'm going to go ahead and go with elves. I've made my pick, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I have played against elf armies with a ton of scouting units in Salt the Earth. And one thing you can do in Salt the Earth is destroy tokens immediately in the first round. Which means Jeremy can scout, and if he gets first turn, burn all the tokens on Khan's side of the table before he can even do anything about them, and then just sit back and defend his for the rest of the game. And intercept anything Khan tries to send across, but he doesn't have any long-range shooting. He's got, he's got a couple of... doesn't he have some...
Mop-up
some of
launchers.
the fly dudes? He's got mop-up launchers, but like those don't do a
Yep.
lot. He's got 2 wingets, but you've got an Elven King and you've got a Dragon who can intercept those things, and Drakon Hordes take care of it. I think if I was Jeremy, I would try to just like Scorched Earth the other side of the board before Khan even gets off the starting line, and
Right.
just sit back and not let him get any of the other tokens. And I think that's it. If he gets to go first, I think he's got the game. Even if he doesn't, he can scout things up into really good positions and make it hard for Khan to get off them. So that's why I'm going with elves.
So the counterpoint to that, and I'm not going with goblins, but I do want to make a counterpoint, and that is that in Jeremy's list, he doesn't have any long range shooting. Right? He has a couple breath weapons, and that's it. So those wingets really are going to, if Khan uses them right, are going to be able to contest objectives all the way to the end of the game. And he may be able to play the counter game of flying across, and for every unit that Jeremy has to sit tight to babysit against the wingets is a unit that's not out there fighting, and he doesn't have any trash to sit back and sit on anything.
I mean, when you've got 9 units, you can't just sit back the whole game and wait necessarily, because I feel like to every, like you're saying, like you only have 9. If you have to keep like 4 out of that just to manage them.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm going to go with goblins, because why would you go against the Khan?
You need 2. You need 1 to sit on the one in the middle that you can't burn, and 1 to sit on one more, and you burn all the rest of them. That's it.
Seems easy.
I've watched somebody with a similar list do it. So
Sure.
there we go.
No, I'm right there with you.
Take notes, Jeremy. Mike's giving you your strat.
Pearls of wisdom here, folks.
I'm going to go with the Great Khan because I think that if it with the shooting that he's got, if he picks the right things to shoot at, and unless it removes like a horde of Dracons, right? Even if he does one of those, it really puts him in the driver's seat in terms of zone of control. Assuming he can, and he's going to massively out deploy Jeremy as well, so he's going to know where those forest shamblers are going to scout up.
That is time.
All right, so I heard 2 votes for goblins from Ashley and Oscar the Grouch. Is that 3 votes for goblins?
Oh no, I thought
Brittany?
I was pretty clear. I'm goblins.
Goblins.
Okay, and then I've got Jeremy vote from Mike.
You can do it.
And Jake, who are you voting for?
I am voting for the Great Khan.
Okay.
I am too.
Yes,
Sorry.
I also like to.
Mike, you don't know what you've just done. You've made a terrible enemy.
I already played Khan at Crossroads in the first round and beat him, so I already have an enemy.
That's true. That's true.
All I've
All
done
right.
here, Greg, is make a new friend.
Fair enough. All right, table number 2. You've got Greg. That's me with my Night Stalkers against Jay and his Salamanders. Again, if you want me to pull up Easy Army for any of these at any point, just let me know.
Ooh.
All right, so I took a look at this, and I really like Jay's list. Insofar as he's got a solid battle line in the middle, and he has no reason to deploy wide, right? So I think he's probably just gonna clump up and take half the board, and try to deny you multi-charges into those tough units in the center, right? Like if he loses the Ember Sprites, the Lakeladons, or the other stuff, he's not really going to care. But the Tyrant Hordes and the Salamander Ceremonial Guard are going to they're a tough nut for you to crack, I think. That being said, he's also got all of his shooting, though it is limited. Everything hits on 4s. So 4s go into 5s because you're stealthy is a lot different than 5s go into 6s, which is what you normally see with a lot of mobile shooting. So those are my observations. I'll let you know who I think later.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing are 2 Soulflare regiments and Shakira in a scenario where you have to sit within 3 inches of things, and there's a limited number of them. So I think if you can keep all of your wind blast and move your opponent's shit around alive till the end of the game, and you're going last, you can just like rearrange who's on the tokens to eke out a victory. So I think I'm going with Greg.
Yeah, so I don't really know Jay Rosado. I do know Greg Person, and that dude sucks. So not as a player, he's pretty good at Kings of War, and as a painter,
Yeah.
I do really admire his work. But he just
I appreciate you making that distinction for everyone.
generally sucks as a person, which is odd because of your name. You should really change it.
You
But
should just be Greg Sucks Person.
Exactly. So as for the battle, though, the Night
Standing right
Stalkers,
there.
the Night
Sorry,
Stalkers
Greg.
seem threat light, but have, I think, a lot of maneuverability and utility. Those apparitions are loving melee 4. I think this Salamander list is a blunt object. That's good in a lot of cases. It means it's strong, tough, and will bash things. But I think Greg's army is just going to be slippery enough to deal with it, especially with stealthy, keeping the shooting down. However, if Jay is going to win, I think those battle captains on Rhinosaurs will have to play a huge part.
Yep.
But my thought is Night Stalkers are just slippery enough and can move regiments and units around, and that's going to be clutch in this. So I'm going with Greg as much as it makes me hate myself.
I love just saying licky licky dons. I know that's not what they're called, but that's what they're called to me.
Mike, what do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, you tell us because I'm dead.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going Night Stalkers.
I'm a Night Stalker.
I thought I already said that.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go salamanders just because.
Jake's back again. Jake, what do you think?
I vote for Greg.
Greg. This is the second level analysis everybody was waiting for. This is good. This is really good.
Name on the list.
Listen, the other times that Jake got booted off of this live stream, it was because he was texting me saying he wasn't going to vote for me. So I kept kicking him off.
It's amazing. Right.
I really like the salamander list a lot. I think the tyrant hordes, pretty standard, but give some great compact. But I like seeing the ceremonial guard horde. I think that's really cool, especially with the bruise strength.
It's awesome.
You know, it's got some nice shooting. The battle captains, I think, give some great utility. On the other hand, you have Greg with his just nonstop healing and just shenaniganry. In a scenario that you want to jump on tokens and burn them quickly, I think the Night Stalkers have an edge because they're quicker than the Salamanders, so I'm going to go with the Night Stalkers purely on that. But I think both of these lists are really solid and have the potential to do really well.
Sure. I think that I'm gonna go with Greg only insofar as Greg knows not to fight the center. He'll do all the other stuff instead. That being said, I think that Jay in his second round is going to make someone very, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, is this the first instance of that cliche where it's like you're going to have a great second round?
Yeah. No, I love that salamander list. I want to build
10
it.
seconds.
Go, Jay.
Has everybody voted? We're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's time.
All right. On to table 3. We've got Cory Reynolds and his Monster Mash versus Scott and Captain Planet.
Ooh.
I always love Captain Planet lists.
Yes. So Cory's Monster Mash is a new Varangur army for him. I'm saying this because these are the names that these people actually attach to their armies. And then Scott's Captain Planet, Forces of Nature, is exactly what you think it is, with one elemental horde of every flavor. And at the 2300 level, at least, he does fit in one greater elemental of every flavor.
Beautiful.
Except there's not a greater Earth, right?
I'm saying at 2300 he plays all 4, but at 1995 he couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, so Cory is not the name you want round 1, right? Like,
No.
You're walking up, bless your heart, Scott brought a theme list with all the elements. It seems really fun, and you're like, oh, who am I gonna get? And it's like, it's Cory. Oh, maybe he's playing something goofy and fun. Oh, it's Cory with all the Lords on Frostfangs he could cram into a 1995 plus Huskarls, which are bad Soul Reavers, but at 1995 with all the support, like the tons of Draugr he has, bad Soul Reavers still do a lot of work.
Right.
So yeah, it's, I think Scott's list has good stuff in it. I think it's fun. It has a bunch of heal and regen and surge shenanigans. But I think the Varangur have the ability to just kill what it hits dead. And no amount of regen and heal in the world brings a unit back yet. So
yes.
I don't know. They could write that in some future Halpi's Rift to Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
But yeah, with so many Draugr monsters, Frostfangs, I think Surges will also be really tough. The board can be packed for this Varangur list where he needs to fight. So I give this as a big win to Cory's side.
I do think. Oh, you want to go Oscar the Grouch?
I think I will.
All right, you go.
The thing about Scott's list too that is tough is I love elemental hordes because they look cool. I love greater elementals because they look cool. They're resilient, but they don't pack much of a punch. They hit on 4s, 18 attacks. So you run into something, you're good for about 5-6 wounds if you roll right. He's got a little Bane Shannon in there, so maybe he can pop 7 wounds on a charge, but he ain't breaking anything. And he's only at 11 units. He's got 16 unit strength, right? So in terms of scenario play, he's pushing it uphill. And in terms of actual getting multi-charges and stuff in, it's going to be tough for him to do so. He may be able to get some surge and whatnot to go, but besides that, I don't know. He can't pop a Draugr regiment in one round if he does a single charge. That's tough. That's going to make it tough.
Well, and you know that Cory's not going to give him any of those multi charges.
No. Of course, listen. Britton already
It's
talked about
Cory's stomp on my heart and soul, Reynolds, okay?
It's Mr. 300. What are you supposed to do, right?
It was a beautiful time, but ouch, it hurt my feelings, okay? Lovely game, lovely man, broke my heart.
There you go.
So, saying that, Cory, I think you're going to win this match. Because, yeah, I mean, like, realistically, I love Scott's list, but I think it's a fun list to play, and I don't think it'll stand up against Cory's. But prove me wrong, Scott. That's fine.
Garrett asked, "Where's the greater heart elemental?" I think it's Scott. Garrett. I think Scott is the greater heart elemental.
Scott is the greater heart elemental.
Can he cosplay as that though? That would be so sick.
Oh, no, dude. He's such a lovely dude too.
Or maybe it's one of the unicorns. Maybe one of the unicorns is the greater heart elemental. So it's Monday, right? So yesterday I played against a almost all elemental list that had 3 greater air elementals. And those things can get rear surge charges super easy.
Oh yeah.
Because I had it happen to me a couple of 3 times. So I feel like if all those greater elementals were greater air elementals, then I would vote for Scott. But as it is, I'm having trouble seeing how he's going to get past all of Cory's other stuff to get at the Draugr regiments that are just going to camp on tokens. Mm-hmm. So I think I got to go with Cory. Sorry, Scott. Your list is super cool, though, man.
It's a learning opportunity, Scott.
It really is. You got to play the best to be the best, right?
I don't think Jake is going to make it back for this.
So that means Jake
match.
votes for Scott. Listen, if you're not here, you vote for whoever was in the minority.
You don't want to give Jake your special prize.
No, but
phrasing.
All right, on to table 4.
All right.
We've
right on
got
time.
Josh and his Harvest Moon or Harvest Moontian Ogre army, and Wyatt and his Dream Kingdoms, which are a Kingdoms of Men army.
Who wants to start this one?
Everything's got indomitable will.
Yeah, because it should.
So this is the Rosado I know.
Yep.
Yes.
And he and Greg have turned out awesome looking ogre armies in the time it's taken me to paint 3 ogre test models. So congrats to both of them for their awesome ogre armies they get to play. And I actually like this ogre army a lot, especially at 1995 points. It's got 2 certified hammers in the siege breakers, and then chariots that also punch at sort of knight value. It's got varied shooting between boomers, and I think I did the math right. Lightning bolt 16 with all the buffs. Some heal, different ranges. The chariot sergeants add a bunch of sort of tricky charge angles as well. And then Berserker Brave regiments are super good. So I really love the ogre list. I don't love this Kingdoms of Men list as much, especially how it squares up against these ogres.
Right.
I think most of its strong points are mitigated by the ogre list, and sort of like Josh has the tools to take advantage of the pikemen, chaff up the night horde, and ground and destroy those flyers. So I think it's just Josh can bully this matchup and takes the win definitely.
I agree with you. The things that I do love about the Kingdoms of Men list is I love the Night Horde, right? Surprised he went with Brew of Strength as opposed to some sort of terrain mitigating item, because that footprint is giant, you know?
Yeah, you're always going to clip something, right?
Yeah.
There's a few different schools of thought on it. I think Brew of Strength is totally fine. Sharpness is fine, or terrain mitigation is fine. It just depends. Because you can look at it as that's just going to be a grinding machine anyway, so strength is what it needs.
Right. I do like the spear regiments to hold objectives as opposed to having to burn them, because you have to kind of commit a little bit between the Indomitable Will and the number of attacks, etc. I actually think they're pretty good. And he's got Healing Brew on him. He's got Scrying Gems, who's going to be able to out deploy Josh a little bit, kind of see what he's doing. The art that I really like is just I don't know, man. Knight regiments and the general on winged beast. He's got 2 of them. He's got wizards on pegs. He's got the flying circus going, which may allow him to control the board a little bit. And he outpaces most of Josh's stuff with those fast elements, right? But Josh is a really good player, and as you mentioned, his list competes in all phases and hums a little. You know, he's got that shit down to a science.
I've played against this list against Josh, like a variation of this, anyways, with his ogres. But I do love Kingdoms of Men because they hold my heart. But yeah, I think that like it could be a very close one. But I definitely think that, like with your saying how it hums, very eloquently put, I think Josh has it. I think that it won't be a sweep. I think Wyatt will be able to get up and either burn enough tokens or take enough to make it close. But I think around turn 6 is going to go to Josh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be tight to the end.
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing what's going to break a Siege Breaker horde
Nothing.
on the Kingdoms of Men side.
Nothing but the Night Horde, and if he lets that Night Horde unhinderedly charge his Siegebreaker Horde, then he deserves what he gets.
Then he deserves it, right? Rather than throwing like his Red Goblin Scout troop in front of it after it's already burned 2 tokens.
Anything.
Done its work.
Almost everything in his unit will happily take a charge from those knights and then counter with everything, and they go away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep.
And for I do love pike regiments, but 13, 15 defense 4 against lightning bolt 16 and a boomer horde. That's one of those going bye a turn.
Yep. Right. And nothing is anything in Josh's list even affected by phalanx? Is the Chariot Legion affected by phalanx?
Nope. Chariots do not care.
Yeah.
I mean they lose their Thunderous, but they still
hit like fucks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I got to go with the ogres then.
Go War Kings.
Yeah. There it is.
That was the most gently issued War Kings cry.
I don't want to blow it. Everyone has headphones on, so I don't want to blow out any eardrums, okay? Everyone.
I think that's exactly what the War Kings would want, though.
That's right.
And that is time.
All right. Let's move on to table 5. We've got Brian and his Forces of the Abyss versus K2 and his Orc Town Orcs. War Kings!
There it is.
That was much better done than mine.
I mean, it was better.
This is Brian Ring, yeah?
Bring ring.
Yep.
Bring ring?
All right. Ring.
So,
Okay.
I love 3 hordes of Molochs. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, looking at his list, the Crystal Pendant on the Harlequin Mask is a great addition as well.
Yeah.
You know, run it up, get in the way, make a mess. That's totally cool. But, like, I don't know. It seems to me like Brian, with his list, irregardless of who's on the other side of the table, would want to control half the table, do a refused flank, burn one of the tokens, and hold the other 3. You know, he can't spread out too much. That is just everyone hangs out together and supports themselves kind of a thing.
Yeah, so what's red and yellow and looks good on Morax?
I'll bite.
Fire.
Right.
I feel like this is almost a purpose-built abyssal army to fight this orc army.
Bringer was just like, "Hey, K2, what you taking?"
Yeah, like it's defense 4 basically across the board, except the fight wagon and characters. Those firebolts get to do some serious work. With a couple other delay pieces, including the crystal pendant against a side that has no ranged weapons to take it out. There's nothing to shoot that Harlequin. It has to die in combat, which means it will blow up on something.
Yeah,
on your great axe
we'll
sword.
do 5-6 wounds.
Yeah.
So I think this is an uphill battle for the orcs. What's going in the orcs' favor is at least they're fast for footworks.
Yes.
And they should be under Rally 2 most of the time. It's going to be obvious sort of which units are taking damage each turn.
Right.
The Wild Charge Aura means they should be doing 11 to 14-inch charges, which is like good for like footworks. But overall, it's not that fast a list. And when it gets through the sort of shooting and trickiness and chaff, they're still 3 hordes of Molochs just sitting there waiting to grind. So I love Morax as a unit. I think there's a viable orc list out there based around them. But I think this particular battle heavily favors the Abyssals, so I'm going with Abyssals.
I played Brian at Crossroads in the last round. He was playing the 2300 point version of this Forces of the Abyss list. At that point level, it's got some of the, what do they call it, Abyssal Fiends, the giants, basically. And so looking at how he scaled it down here, I think he made the right choices for what to take out and what to leave. And yeah, I kind of have to agree. I think gargoyle troops in a scenario like this come in very handy to either burn objectives mid-game or quickly run over and sit on something at the end of the game. He didn't rely on shooting all that much against me, but I think it's really going to help him a lot in this match against the orcs, just keeping him back or punishing him for trying to come up. So yeah, I think I got to go with Brian. Sorry, K2.
Rossi, what did you pick?
I didn't pick yet. The thing that
Rossi waits for all of us to say and then slides in.
No, that's why I'm making him go before me. I didn't.
On this one, I am. So my thought was with the. Oh man, it really depends on what K2 does with those Morax troops. To your point, he runs them forward and he
takes them off the table.
That's what's going to happen, right? But why do that then? Why even throw them forward if you can sit on objectives or run them up the flank or whatever you can do, right? Because you made an excellent point. There's no way to shoot off the gargoyles. There's no way to shoot off the Heliquin, right? He just doesn't have
or Bale.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Bale only gets to fight when he wants to.
Right.
That's annoying for Bale.
Oh, it's awful, right? It's a shame because I love K2's list, but he needs a little bit of shooting in there, and I would totally go with him because I think he can handle it. But nope, or maybe an extra Crudger. An extra Crudger on a Gore would do it.
Yeah, another mounted one would help.
Something, right? Something to project some force.
Right, because there's nothing that can deliver that Great Axe Horde into the Molochs that won't get shot to death. And then the Great Axe take double Molochs the next turn, right?
Yeah, it's. I want to talk myself into it, and I can't. So I'm gonna go with Brian.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Brian.
Yep.
I have less strength than you, so I'm going to talk myself into it and say K2 just to not give them a sweep.
Sounds legit.
There you go.
And that's time.
There it is.
Those are my hot takes, people.
It's pretty hot.
I'm very here
for.
for analytical things. Clearly know what I'm talking about.
Beautiful. All right, on to table 6. We've got a classic Chris off with Chris Murphy
Jesus.
against Chris Calipir. Yeah.
Which one's which?
No. Chris Murphy is bringing the Basileans, and Chris Peltier is bringing the Undead. These two are actually more so than some of the other matchups, very evenly matched on unit count and unit strength. So have at it.
Also, doesn't Chris Murphy normally play Undead?
Yes, that was his go-to army.
That was his go-to army, right? That's
for several years.
I was very confused for a second there.
So I'm looking at Crispy's list, and I'm like, Revenant, why do those when you could have more mummies? And then he's got white hordes, right? He's got white hordes with the Wine of Elvenkind and the Brew of Sharpness, right? So that's where the points went, So I love those items on those units. Right?
Do you love them more than mummies, though?
Yeah, I do. For the way that Chris plays, I think so. Right?
Yeah.
If he was going to do mummies, I think he would have to make some other changes to the list.
That's valid.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I love I love this undead list because it looks an awful lot like the one I'm currently playing. It's a whole lot of my stuff is not going to die, and if it ever gets close, I'm just going to heal it back. Screw you.
That's heal 15 you're looking at. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, life leech 2, life leech 2, life leech 2, life leech 2, and then nimble whites and sharp whites, and some catapults just in case you can't. You're just to put the opponent on a clock and make him come forward.
Right.
So I feel like I have to go with undead just kind of to be a homer, right? Like I've I've looked in the mirror and seen myself, so I have to pick it. There it is.
So I'm
I
gonna
think
go
that
counter.
says more about you than we should know. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna go counter to this side. I played Chris Murphy back at Masters, I think in 2020.
I'm sorry for you.
He was an absolute gentleman. This list looks like it could do very ungentlemanly things in round one. It's fast, so fast. I think the sort of idea that like these are units that don't die easily is going to be put to the test when they are charged at will by everything in Chris's army, double charged at will
Absolutely.
by everything in Chris's army.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Chris
it's
is
just like
gonna get to pick those charges he wants, right?
buffed up Musclemen Alohi with strength, 2 Knight regiments, triple Gur Panthers, and regiments of Alohi as a delivery system to get them exactly where they need to go and
Yeah.
stop up everything else. I just feel like he can be patient, reasonably patient. There are 2 catapults saying, how you doing? But he could also just hit the go button and engage this entire undead army at once with the good units pac-manning through his opponent's good units.
And that's what he needs to do. He needs to be patient, pick a target, and blow it up, and then turn to face. If he gets stuck, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think there's definitely, it's like risky. Chris P has a path to victory, double White Horde with items, especially the super tricky, like nimble item. It gives you a chance.
Yeah.
If the dice
And
betray.
and surge 20 between 2 Lich Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
if-
surge even though?
But basically what I'm looking at is like, if the dice betray or this Basilian army hangs up at all, it's going to get dragged down and just die.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yep.
does anyone know if Murphy has like sacrificed to the dice gods yet? Because like that's something we need to know.
Can't say that I know.
Yeah, we'll have to call him.
But my thought is that this is gonna be, you know, if he doesn't hang up, which is, you know, big question, dice exist, etc. That like all that heal, all that reach in is going to be wasted because things are just going to get hit, blow up, and then the tools he has to counterattack won't be enough. And those Aloha and those Knights will just gobble through the army like Pac-Man and game over. So I'm picking Basilians, but I definitely see a path to victory for Undead in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let me down, Chris.
That's the
Don't let
perfect way to
either
put
of us
it.
down.
Yeah.
And I like Garrett's idea that one of them has to stop going by Chris if they lose. This should be a fight for.
I mean,
for
realistically, I mostly just call Chris Murphy, so
Well,
maybe we already knows. I think like the Basilians have a great list, and I think if if Murphy can use it properly, then I think he can win this, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt. So I say Chris Murphy, or you could just put Chris, and then I'll say it's a draw.
yeah, the mics vote for the Chris, right?
Yeah, I would just like to
Right.
vote for Chris. Thank you.
I'm gonna go with Chris. Man,
I would like to.
because Britton, I totally agree with you, and I also know that by turn 4, Chris Murphy's gonna look down and go, "Now I'm stuck." You know what I mean? Like
Like you can see the
Uh,
look on his face.
That is time, so you got to pick.
I'm gonna go with Chris Murphy.
All right.
No, you know what? I'm going with Chris Pelletier.
Oh wow.
I think that Murphy's gonna have.
Oh.
I
A
think that
last
Murphy's gonna
minute
have a bad day.
decision.
I think Murphy's gonna do everything right and still lose.
That's so
I wish
cool.
that
You are
upon him.
Yep.
savage.
Murphy's gonna get in there. His dice are gonna betray him on one brutal combat, and it's gonna be like, "Oh, there goes that." Right? Or roll like a 3 for his nerve check. Right? On whatever it is,
Yeah.
Crispy will
Yep.
turn around, heal it completely back to full, and remove the Lohi horde, and that'll be the end of that.
Wow.
Some
All right.
something like that'll happen.
Bold predictions. So, table 7, we've got Keith, reigning U.S. Master Conroy, with his herd army against Stephen King and his dwarfs.
Doesn't
Britain
mean-
has said no one is allowed to make Stephen King jokes tonight, so
Oh.
keep that in mind.
No,
was
no.
gonna
I
be
only
like,
said
well,
that when
now-
I only said that when I asked how he was in the chat. You can embarrass yourself with Stephen King jokes all you want live.
Sure.
He has won Masters. That's great. Well done. Does that mean he's like this is the decline phase, or do you think
Yes.
he's still peaked? Or is
So that's the question, because there's a long
Yeah.
history of Masters winners taking a dip in form after their big win. Oftentimes
You know,
this
like-
is due to. Sorry, we have a 3-year-old button in.
It's okay.
I thought that was Keith.
So
Thanks,
the like sometimes they take a year off. Sometimes their armies are nerfed, right? Like Brad got all of Chariots nerfed.
Yep.
But Keith is still running Herd. There's been no time for the RC to cramp his style. Will he rise to the occasion and play like a master? Or like Alec Chavez, will he waltz around as a former master, never again climbing to those competitive heights?
Having just one best general at Crossroads, sure. Yeah.
I mean, he lost overall to Jake.
Like,
it is
who
kind of
didn't
embarrassing.
do well at Crossroads?
Everyone who participated in that event is feeling a little bit of shame.
I'm glad I didn't sign up for that.
So this is sort of a normal Keith list. It does what Keith lists do: ton of speed, reliable Bane chant, heal, regen, small number of units, needs to be impeccably played, etc. And then on the other side, we just have a shit ton of dwarves. And
A shit ton of throwing mastiffs.
It's the dog, dude.
I really
Yeah.
like the dwarf list in this matchup. Like, it's tons of units to disrupt his plans. He can layer up for protection. He has a bunch of stuff he doesn't care about losing.
Yep.
9 instances of throwing dogs, sharpshooters to help push the pace and punish anything that's sort of dithering around, doing sneaky, nimble stuff. And then a flying dwarf lord and a berserker on Brock with Beast Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just feels like a list sort of purpose built to fight Herd.
Yeah.
I might just be drunk on soda and have a love of fat little armored warriors, but if I walked up to this table cold, I'd pick dwarves. That looks fun to play against them.
I'm kind of feeling the same way. I'm like, what's he going to do on those those massive hunting packs? Nothing, because anything that he's got 2 fast dwarves that can intercept any of his flying stuff and ground them and keep them off of it. So like he can just spread out with mastiff hunting packs and sit on objectives and shoot and just hold and intercept and ground things. And yeah, I mean, it seems crazy, but I think I'm about to vote against the current master.
Yeah, and
I think I'm doing it.
answer is he's the master and he figures it out. But Cole,
but Keith was saying
I
like
love
he
this dwarf
hasn't.
list.
Keith was saying he's like lost every game in the current UB tournament he's playing in though. So maybe I think I'm gonna go with
Curse is
Steven.
real. The curse.
Maybe the curse is real, man.
So
He's spent all his karma for the year. I'm going with Steven.
I'm just looking at the list, and I don't care if you're the master or not. You got 3 units, and everything else just dies by dogs, right? Like he's got 7.
My dog.
Steve
The
has
disdain
70
in his
shots
voice.
that always hit on 4s with Pierce 1 against an army that's defense 4 with his Spirit Walker horde, and everything else is just it's going to die.
I mean, we are listening to Mike. Oh, well, I guess I'll play Dwarves Rossi. So
Listen, that's only out of laziness. It's not out of decision making. But I'm telling you, this is a really good list. Steve has a really good list. And I think he's going to be able to put pressure on right from the beginning. He's going to lose both the Shieldbreaker hordes. He's going to lose them. He's going to lose them in the middle. And then whatever killed those hordes is going to die. Right? That being said, because of the scenario, the beasts of nature may be able to go sit on targets, burn them real quick, make it so that Steve only has one or two objectives that he can actually control. Depending on if Steve goes first and controls it.
Great. I think dwarves would love to fight over a limited number of objectives.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
They're like, you mean I don't have to go as far? Great.
Yeah.
My stumpy little legs.
And it's actually really cool because I think Steve's list actually can deploy on a wide front and be okay. Whereas I think Keith's has to like hunker up and be kind of close together. Those 3 units.
And that's time.
That's time, Rossi.
Yeah. I'm going with Steve.
So, 2 votes for Steve from the Mikes, or from Mike. Yeah, the Mikes in Britain all voted Steve.
Can I vote on
Ashley.
Keith even though I wasn't allowed to analyze?
Yeah, please.
Perfect.
Why
That's the way I
don't
would
why
like
don't you start us off? talking about the next matchup.
That's what you get.
No, I don't
Wasn't
want that.
allowed.
No,
All right.
my strategy is failing.
Table 8, we've got Cory and his ogres against Pat. There are 2 Pats in this event. This is Pat O'Neill and his dwarf army, also replete with throwing mastiffs and sharpshooters.
Well, this one is ogres and this one is dwarves, so clearly I have a lot to say on this. They're going to do things. These are my hot takes. I think ogres could take this. Do
How?
they
So
really
did I-
care if they throw dogs at them?
Did I miss the memo that said in the Northeast you must take a minimum of 4 Mastiff hunting packs in all dwarf armies?
It came
that
out
a
of the
thing,
last
Mike?
email.
It wasn't me, but I think the going rate right now is that he's got 7.
No, I just meant the Mastiff hunting packs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The chaff unit
The
itself.
actual units of dogs.
The dogs that throw dogs. Yeah.
Woof woof, dude.
So, I feel like this is a fine dwarf list, but it's spending a bunch of points that aren't relevant in this matchup. It's got bulwarkers that, like the ogre army doesn't care.
Yep.
It's got, I think, a mournful blade. Is that this one or is that a different army? Yeah, mournful blade.
Yeah,
One
this
blade
one,
down
yeah.
at the bottom.
They don't care. Like the Beast Slayer blade will do great, but the mournful blade is sort of turned off. I just think this ogre list, I don't love this ogre list as much as I like Rosado's ogre list, but I think it has enough of the just really good ogre things to take over and just push this dwarf army around. It also has speed 8 hunters, which I love.
Yeah, buddy.
You've got cavalry ogres basically just running as fast as a knight unit, which is always good times. Yeah, I just think that like the dwarves could have lights out shooting, sure, but this is just too like the only real offensive threats outside of Gullik are lacking punch to get through defense 5 and 6,
Yep.
and a lot of it hits on 4s, which is super susceptible to ensnare. So I think this is the ogre's game to lose.
I agree. And also, second level stuff.
I agree.
Yeah, well, Cory Walliser knows how to kill dwarves because he plays me and he beats the shit out of me every time we play. So, like, he's seen this and he knows how to beat this. This isn't one of those things where he needs to get reps in.
Yeah, I think is the point. Like that's the big one. Like it's Cory Walliser. He plays you all the time. You play dwarves. He knows what to do. So I kind of feel like I gotta go with Cory.
Sorry, Pat.
Yeah.
I wanted
don't
to
think
beat
this
him.
is a
I don't
great
know what to
matchup
tell
for you.
you. Right?
I even went and looked. I was like, is Kuzlo and Madfall the one that's like on a cav base, but it's still an individual, so that Mournful Blade can do something? No, it's not. I'm thinking of another one of stupid units. So
No.
Yeah, and I think there's other armies that this dwarf list gives problems to. I just think a lot of its little tricks are turned off against
Well, yeah,
the
like
ogre army.
the herd list. We were just looking at it. It would.
Yeah, it would give them trouble. I think that I do think that there are a couple units that Cory's not going to want to push forward because of the dogs, depending on how the dogs are deployed. You get 3 or 4 dogs into if you get 3 or 4 throwing mastiff shots, that's 18 shots hitting on 4s, Pierce 1 into a hunter horde. That softens it up pretty much where he doesn't want to commit into combat maybe, because no matter what he does, it always hits on 4s. But Cory's smart. He's not going to stick those out there. He'll put other stuff out there to be barked at,
Yeah.
So that being said, Greg, you had other questions for us, do you think?
Yeah, so if we look back at the table for a moment, in a matchup like this, where I don't think Pat has any Pathfinder, he has Strider on Gullik.
No, I think he has Pathfinder on one unit of Brox.
And one unit of Brox, right?
Right.
And
Cory's
Cory's
got
got
Pathfinder
some
everywhere.
hunters and Kuzlo, who, if you're looking at this table, who wants what side and who's looking to burn tokens?
It's pretty even. If I was Cory, I would actually want to be on the side with the clear I would want to be on the top.
Okay.
I would want to rush forward into terrain. Because the dwarves hitting on 4s, everything hits on 5s. You know, who cares? I would move up. Get behind the hills and not be seen. What do you think?
There's just not enough punch in this dwarf list to hit through any of that. If you bring the list back up, there's no...
That's time.
There's no Bane Chant.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
He's got a Steel Behemoth.
Yep.
That's it.
You know?
So I got 3 for Cory. Ashley, who are you going with?
I voted for Cory.
Oh, you voted Cory as well. All
Yeah.
right, gotcha. Moving on to table 9. We've got the other Pat Hill, who hasn't played since Harvest of Souls 2019, and his elves against John and his Abyssal Dwarfs. And we got 2 armies matched up here with both a pretty heavy emphasis on shooting, which
John
we haven't seen quite so much.
Is this
No,
John
it is not Vanass.
John who?
It's a new John to the scene.
New John!
Neeson?
New John,
Something
because
like
we need
that.
more generic.
John Neeson?
He shows up with only sleeves.
Yeah.
Right?
Please.
They call them arm warmers.
I'll never forget the event where John Vanass had to wear sleeves because the event location didn't allow him to go sleeveless.
Yeah, that was tough. He actually had a fit. All right, so I looked at this Abyssal Dwarf list. It has 2 Decimator hordes, 2 Black Soul hordes, some gargoyles, some honey packs, and a general on a winged half-breed. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's my type of dwarf list, right? Boatloads of infantry, looks like a dwarf list, looks like an army. I love it. It's suboptimal because I love it. He's gonna have a tough time using it because I love it. Right? I'm telling you. There's so many other tools and tricks that he could take.
Yeah, these are like weird mirror. When I looked at these, my first thought was like it's a weird mirror image of each other. They're sort of shooting blocks, couple war machines, biggest flyer they could pull out of the case, and they're also sort of like old school armies. Like this could be a Warhammer like 6th edition Abyssal Dwarf army.
Absolutely.
And this could be a 3rd edition Elf army without the Dracon Riders.
Right.
They just feel very classic. That's about all I had to say because I don't really like either of these lists that much. So between the 2 of them, I don't know. The dwarves have big giant nerve pools that I think only the Dracons can really deal with. So I'm going to give it to the Abyssal Dwarves. I like it marginally better, and it seems easier to pilot.
Yeah, if those heavy mortars kill a Dracon horde before it gets into combat, then the Abyssal Dwarves are going to win because there's not enough. There's not enough shooting to kill Black Soul hordes.
Yeah, 60 shots, no pierce. Right.
Yeah, or like a gargoyle troop punches them once and they can't shoot in a turn when they need to.
And then once the decimators are in range, it becomes, like it's Kinburn's time. It's the Civil War. They're just
slow
just
unloading the battlefield. Yep.
Yeah, I guess the Hexcaster doesn't really have anything to do because there's no spell casting on the elf side, right? Does the Dragon
He
Kindred
casts
Lord
weakness all day.
So he just casts weakness against the dragon or the Dracons if they manage to get in, or
right.
Because you don't need it on anything else. Nothing else is going to kill any of your stuff.
It's funny because Pat, if he could take, if he's, once again, discipline, right? You have to either commit to move up and then take all the flying stuff and stick it into combat turn 2. Because if he messes around, he's going to lose, right? Because the heavy mortars, all they got to do is like have one good round of shooting, and all of a sudden he's going to take whatever if it doesn't die, he's going to hide it behind a wood for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Which is
and he's got these nice elements for this kind of scenario. Like Silver Breeze Cavalry Troop, Blade Stalker troops are good for going out and sit on objectives, but like a Decimator horde within 12 inches is just going to pick up those like they're not even there. So it's going to be really difficult for him to hold sections of the table if he can't shut down the Decimators. Yeah, no, I think I gotta go with John.
Yeah, I also think John has an opportunity that once again, it's one of those lists that controls half the table. You know, it takes the center and the left flank and goes, "These are all mine. What are you going to do?" You know,
Right.
New John, Johnny Sleeves.
Johnny Sleeves.
Now, if Pat had played more than once in the past 2 years, like if he had taken this list and he was like, "Trust me, it works," and he was using it on all last year during quarantine, I'd be like, I'd probably go with Pat just to be counter. But oof.
I think that's valid. So it's new guy versus veteran who hasn't played in ages.
Relatively brand new guy versus old
Relatively.
new guy, you know. That being said, this John Neeson bro could come out of nowhere and become the next master. No one knows him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't
Johnny
like.
Sleeves coming in hot.
Yeah,
There it is.
Pat doesn't really have anything that can go over and shut down the mortars.
No,
But
that's
John
what I was
can send gargoyle troops over to shut down the bolt throwers, but like bolt throwers don't do enough damage that you really need to prioritize shutting them down.
No, I think this goes to John just for that. I think the mortars are going to be a huge, huge problem for Pat. Yeah, I agree. So I think John's got it. Johnny Sleeves.
Could be. I mean, he's got a Lord on Drakon that could fly over and go and mess with the anchor heavy mortars, but then he's not doing other stuff.
Which he probably needs that to be doing other stuff to deal with all the other shit on the table.
Well, he's only got 2 sources of inspiring, and that's one of them. So if he flies off to take care of that, he's got one guy trying to hold everything down.
And that one guy is also flying around trying to do stuff.
Yeah, true. Right?
Classic.
Yep, that's our time for this one.
Go.
All right. Let's head to table 10. Got Justin and his orcs against Matt and his Night Stalkers, which are called the Crypt Stalkas. And kudos to Matt, because I'm going to pull it up. His list, he has custom names for all of his units, and he drew a nice little icon to help you recognize, because this is a themed army with the Titan Forge undead orcs and goblins.
Yeah, definitely shout out to the custom art glyphs on the army list. And also shout out
Bad
to
Moon.
It's not displaying that I can see.
I can't see anything yet.
Yeah.
You can't see it?
No, you have to stop sharing the slides and then share whatever other window you're looking at. If you
I'm sorry.
And shout out to one of the units being named the Gabagools.
That's ridiculous.
So,
all right, let me share the actual one.
Oh, now I'm big. I just looked up for my friends like, shit.
I can talk about these while you're bringing up. There we go.
There, you got it now, right?
Look at that.
I wanted to show this off.
The scarecrows are the Gabagools.
That's ridiculous.
The Gabagools. The spooky boys.
Right.
Oh, the Great Hunt. Oh, I love this.
So yeah, this is hobby hero status there. On the actual tabletop, I'm torn. The orcs feel sort of like a variant of the Eric Trowbridge list, with Morax, Great Axe, and a big old Orkling screen. It then drops a bunch of that list sort of utility individuals and replaces them with giant fuck off big dragons. And to me, at least, in an optimized Godspeaker, it somehow ends up with only 13 drops when 5 of them are Orklings. I thought it would have more drops when 5 of the drops are 65 points.
Right?
There's a ton of raw power in the list. When Great Axe hit anything, it just goes away, especially in this Night Stalker list. I just don't think he'll be fighting anything he wants that often.
No.
I think the dragon play could be crucial. It's just this Night Stalker list is so tricky. It has so many tools. I'm really on the fence with this one. I sort of went back and forth, Rossi style, in my head, trying to figure out which I would rather have. So for me, essentially, when I'm in doubt, go with the orcs. up the orcs. So I honestly, it's like 49-51% for me, and I'm going orcs.
So Matt Cassidy says in the chat that he's been watching. They've been doing a rewatch of The Sopranos, so that's where not a lot of the names came back from. So that's pretty cool.
And Garrett is confirmed for us. John isn't a new player; he's just new to the Northeast community. He's been playing a long time.
Feeling even better about my pick.
Yeah, that's good. I was just gonna be like,
Johnny Sleeves is actually a veteran.
That's his name
Johnny
from now on.
Sleeves.
That's it. Greg, make sure that's
Isn't
it.
that the nickname, Iowa, the sleeve state?
Could be.
I'll take it.
I mean,
Right.
what do we know about Iowa?
It's better than their previous slogan, which was "Bet you can't find us on a map."
I
When
honestly
John
still
took
am
his
trying to
family
picture where all
on
Iowa
vacation,
is.
they did like the classic RV road trip across America, but they had to route around Iowa because John didn't want to put sleeves on. John Vanasse said this.
It's ridiculous.
We're turning the car around.
Oh
I don't
man.
even know where Iowa is on a map.
You're from Canada, though.
There are 50 states. How am I supposed to keep track of them all?
This
Exactly.
is true.
So,
All right, so back to the matchup.
Anyway. Back
Yeah,
back to the one. The clock is ticking on the one we're supposed to be talking about.
right? So,
Um,
what do you think, Mike?
I don't know because I like the look of this orc list a lot. Like he's got the great axe hordes and more axe regiments, and he's got the orcling regiments to deliver them, and he's got a couple of flying things. Just kind of like what Brenton was said. Like this is a 1995 version of Trowbridge's Masters winning list. And I'm thinking about this scenario, and the Night Stalkers have a lot of tools and a lot of flexibility, but I don't know how many of those tools are necessarily gonna be directly applicable to this scenario or on this table. He doesn't have the Mind Screeches. Like if the Mind Screeches have a good day shooting down the Orkling regiments so that he can kind of pick what engagements to do, then I think the Night Stalkers will be fine. But otherwise, I think the Orcs have the chaff and the maneuverability with the Crudgers on Wing Slashers to kind of pick, to kind of pin things down or get them in a position where the Hordes can at least get in on them and then just sit on tokens and not get killed by anything. And he doesn't, I'm not seeing enough Wind Blast really. Or Shakira. I guess it's just Shakira over on the Night Stalker side to like
Mind
slide
Screech
things off objectives.
does have Mind Screech does have Wind Blast 6.
Does it have Wind Blast?
You ju-
Okay.
Yeah, they just don't cast it much because
It
of
only
lightning.
it only
shit.
turns on at turn 7.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Right.
Like
Isn't
I've
that
never
the only
seen it
point in
used
bringing
before
Wind
turn
Blast?
7.
Yeah, maybe 6.
Okay. So if the Mind Screeches live and Shakira lives, then he could blow some hordes off some objectives at the end of the game to easily turn it into a draw or maybe to a win. I don't know. I think I'm in the same boat as Britton. I don't know which way to go. Britton went with Orcs, so I'm going to go with Night Stalkers just so it's not a uniform decision this time.
Yeah,
When in doubt, orc it out.
I had this written down as the hardest matchup to guess. I think a lot of it for Justin is going to have to do with how he plays the Crudger on Wing Slashers, right? And if he can establish some board control, in the beginning in turns 1 and 2 to set everything else up. I don't know. The thing about Matt Cassidy is he's really good. Relatively new to Kings of War. Was
Wait,
a big
now
Warhammer
you tell me.
player. Right? Oh yeah, seriously. But like Matt is one of those dudes who's like he picks up a game, he analyzes the crap out of it, doesn't stop thinking about it, obsesses over it, and goes, I have it figured out, and then right. Man, this is tough.
While he's thinking, what do you think, Ashley? We only got like 20 seconds.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think I would have to go. I'm like kind of the same way. You guys have been thinking it seems really down the middle, but orc it out, I guess. I don't know. Maybe just like at first I was like, oh, look, he has so many units, but there's no more units than the Night Stalkers, really. But
I'm going to go with Matt because his small chaff units do stuff, whereas the Orklings don't do not anything.
they look cute.
Yes, that is. You don't. Yes.
Orklings are cute,
Yeah,
right?
And that's our time.
Petite.
All right, table 11, Doug versus Ren, Treebeard's Revenge. So this is League of Rordia against another like cool theme, Force of Nature. Last one was Scott's Captain Planet. This one is All the Trees.
Just
So, yeah,
forest
step-
shamblers and tree herder, and then
Yeah.
oh my
Step
god, I
forward.
fucking love it.
Step forward, Ren.
I don't even need to read the other list. Ren, what the fuck? I love it.
You are a hero amongst men. Nine drops, 3 unit entries, all scouting, all verdant, with a phalanx aura. I wish you well, and I actually think you have a great matchup here.
I think this
Yep.
is amazing. I love
And
it
this
so
is-
much.
And this is your scenario, dude, because like you walk forward, you burn all of the objectives, you slowly back up onto the ones you didn't burn, you wait.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think-
And then you are like, we are trees.
Right. Somebody call Ed Herzig in England and tell him somebody stole his list.
Right.
Yeah,
and is
that's
using
where I'm
it
getting
well.
those vibes from. I was wondering.
I also think now I'm really bullish on Rordia in general. I think they are one of the top 3 to 4 armies in the game right now. That will be shaken up when Clash of Kings lands, but I don't actually think they get worse. I think they actually get better post Clash, like a lot of armies. I just don't think this particular list is leaning into the army strengths quite enough. It's good. I think Rordia has a floor, a very high floor, because any army with sort of Battle Shine, Honor Guard, scoring utility wizards, and like cheap flyers is going to be competitive. I just don't love all the choices made here, and I think the Walking Woods that he is facing straight out of Macbeth is perfectly suited for this scenario, and is very happy to see this army across the table in general. So yeah, I'm going hard on the side of Ren, and I hope it does great.
I'm so excited.
So I looked at this and I agree. Ren's really got an advantage here, mostly because everything will just move up. We'll end up going about 12 inches up, and then he's essentially cutting the board in half and putting pressure on Doug right from the beginning. And Doug, with the list he's taking, doesn't have anything that can, kind of make Ren think, do I really want to move up 12 inches here? Because he's only got a couple units that can charge up and unless they, control board space. He's got the Honor Guard, which do not want to charge into something with Phalanx, right? And he's got
the Phalanx tree herder that's going to be in its face,
right?
Right.
And then next thing you know, you're just flankomatic and you're at the table, right? And then, or he's got a couple guys on monstrous mounts. It's not enough. So I don't know if Doug can really control or stop Ren from kind of like dictating the way the battle goes in the first 4 turns, And because you can burn those tokens right away, even if like Doug wants to do we're going to move all our guys around the outside, and we're going to play cagey with all my flyers and stuff. That's cool. But meanwhile, there's nothing to stand on, right? He's going to win. He may even win on attrition, but lose the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he can shoot a couple of Forest Shambler hordes dead with all the lightning and the cannons, but it's not going to matter because Ren might only need 2 or 3 units alive standing on the only objectives that he didn't burn at the end of the game.
Right. The only other thing I can think is that he's got 9 drops,
Yep.
right? So like Doug will see what he's doing, and more importantly, and he can't be everywhere. So Doug will see where he's going before he puts down the majority of the stuff that he has that matters.
But that's
Right.
kind of the thing whenever you bring low drops like that. It's kind of like you just have to pick your plan and stick to your plan, and your opponent's going to know your plan.
Sure, I got you. And I think that Ren doesn't care. Ren's going to go, I'm doing this. What are you going to do to stop me? But the table's kind of wide. You can't go in the center objective.
I don't think there's enough in the Rordia list to stop. Like, I think a different list, the pike hordes are great against a lot of armies. Against 4 Shambler hordes, it's a, pool noodle fight.
Right. Right.
There's not enough damage.
Yeah,
there's not enough damage in the list. And a bunch of these 4 Shamblers could be shot. They'll be fighting something from whatever it is, turn 2, 3 on. They will be engaged, and everything's just fighting, looking for surge targets. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not a chance for Rordia in this list. Like, it's still a game, and the game is balanced. I just think it's a very uphill fight. The path to victory for Doug is very small, and the path for the walking trees is large and filled with flowers and praise.
Exactly.
Now, do I think that Ren's going to have an easy time of most of his games? Probably not. But this matchup seems good.
Like, if it goes against the all Morax Orcs army, it's suddenly not wanting to fight that. Like, that's exactly what it doesn't want to fight. A bunch of orcs
with axes.
With axes, yeah. It's
Right.
Themed.
Cue the Two
right there in
Towers
the name.
music. Yeah.
That's our time.
Ren mentions in the chat, he says, I can mess up any advantage, but he didn't say mess. So.
All right. On to,
I can put that on the screen.
Censoring our language.
Yeah.
This is YouTube, and we're not monetized. So fuck
I was
it.
gonna be like, was I supposed to be watching my language? I'm sorry.
Right.
All right, on to the final matchup. Round 1 is table 12. We've got Kevin and his Order of the Brother Mark with Kingdoms of Men allies, because you know what the humans need? More humans. And Nick and his Trident Realm.
I think I actually missed those allies when I was looking at the
So this
army.
is the only allies in the
The
whole
only
tournament.
allies, and it's humans bringing humans.
That is
Right.
so weird. Brinley would
He
be
took,
very
it's at
ashamed.
the bottom part there. You see the Spear Phalanx Regiment
I-
with pikes and the General on Winged Beast.
I missed them on the Easy Army printouts and just thought Brother Mark was really expensive, and that's why.
It's just small.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see if this changes my sort of thought. But like, we all know Kevin is an absolute peach of a human being. Brings joy to those around him. Basically, the opposite of Greg Person.
Noted.
Sadly, I think this list is better suited for best sports than best general.
But isn't that what he plays for anyways?
Yeah. I think it's fine. It'll give some lists some trouble. It's possible, depending on how well that Spear Phalanx, I don't know, that general. No, I can't even. Not even talking myself into it. It feels like this Trident Realm list outspeeds it, outgrinds it, outshoots it, outcrushing strengths it.
Does.
I think Kevin's a good dude. I'm pulling
But can
for
he
him.
outsports it?
I don't know, but I think this Trident Realm list in this matchup on this scenario is just better than the Brother Mark army. So Kevin would have to pull a feat of incredible generalship out, which might be possible, but I got to go Nick. So
Yeah, double Knucker
I was looking at it
Yes.
too.
and double Heart Piercers.
it's
Double
all the good
Gigas.
stuff. It's all the
Right,
good stuff
and
at 19.
and then Ector. So like pick one of your hammer units, and Ector's just going to stand in front of it all game. All these chaplains and Bearer of the Holy Icon and the priest, like lots of human, utility guys over on the Order of the Brother Mark side, without a whole lot of guys for them to support or buff. Like I feel like he overbought characters.
Seems like it.
One thing to keep in mind, because I know you probably don't see this army or this unit much, but the Order of the Abyssal Hunt regiments get Vicious. It's their bonus against monsters and titans. So there's.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, great.
Is it just the
Handy.
Kraken or the Knuckers are they considered monsters or no?
They're monsters.
Let me look.
They are. So I mean, that is something that he has there.
Knuckers, Knuckers are monsters. Sure. So when like both Knuckers flank one of them and kill it before it gets into combat.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing is that this Trident Realm army should be picking its fights, and
Right.
it should be shutting down 1 to 2 of Kevin's 3 hammers before they get to do much, and then he's sort of left with, you have minute-armed spearmen with the hammer. That's a great slow-moving target to just get shot by,
Heart piercers, right?
heart piercers. You have these other hammers that are sort of great targets to throw Ensnare Horde in front of. It's just, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of room for this Brother Mark list to win.
Yeah. And those like chaplains on horses might be useful against certain armies, but 3 attacks running into things that have ensnare, you're not guaranteed to actually put the 1 wound on you need, and then whatever you were blocking just charges through you.
Yeah.
And hits whatever it wants on the other side. So like, this is not a great matchup for Kevin.
And the super
I gotta go with Trident Realm.
the super maneuverable pieces he has aren't actually flyers, so doing
Right.
1
Right.
damage to them doesn't shut
Right.
them down.
No.
And they're
Right.
taller than your
No, Knuckers just back up and run around you and don't care.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to go with Nick.
I do too. Insofar as the units that Nick has to hold the objectives on his side of the table are still doing stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the ones that, if Kevin is going to take, if Kevin's going to take any of his units and hold him back, it's going to be what, the Valain skirmisher troops.
He's got
Yeah.
the Bowman Horde.
Yeah, he does. So he'll sit on 1 or 2, right, and then lose it.
Yep.
You know.
They'll be the last ones to lose their objective.
Yeah, I mean, I hate talking like this is exactly what's going to happen, but even though we've done that for the past hour, but it really seems to me like Nick's got a bunch of advantages that Kevin's going to have a hard time dealing with.
Yeah, I really like this Trident Realm list at this point level. Like,
It's
it's a
tight.
tight list.
Totally
Yeah.
is.
It's all the most annoying elements.
Yeah,
None of the fat. Just all of
it's
the
like a
annoyance.
greatest hits album, right? Like,
That's right.
It's like
I just-
it's like a greatest hits from Pearl Jam. It's all the annoyance packed into one tiny
One.
little box.
One little
Go ahead,
6x4
Ashley.
table. All I was gonna say is I refuse to let Spear be 4-0, so I'll pick Spear.
Okay.
But I concur with many notes that have been made. However, I won't let him because he's such a nice man.
Mm.
And this is my way to win the prize, is that hopefully a lot of you will be wrong on the ones where I just did it for the underdog.
That very well could be the case.
I want
Having-
the prizes.
I haven't run the math, but having watched some of these and then participated in the events, the accuracy ratings are not. It's not the be all
What
end
we're
all.
talking about.
Even a unanimous vote is not a nail in the
So
coffin.
I'm here for the
I've-
ununanimous, and then win the prize.
yeah, I've done
Yep.
I've done several of these, and I do keep track of the accuracy rates because I do give prizes for whoever gets the most right. And what I can tell you is that most people don't do much better than a coin flip on these things when you get back. Like between 50 and 65% tends to be where people get to. So
All right. So
if
I'm gonna
we all
ask
voted
you to
against you,
make
that doesn't mean you don't have a chance.
No, it certainly doesn't. Can I ask you to make a couple of predictions now for the event as a whole? So
All right.
not thinking out of just round one, but across 5 games. Who is your top pick in it to win it? Number 1 choice for Harvest of Souls 2021, and why is it me? Go.
Corey Reynolds, because that's safe.
Just a
That
safe
is so
pick.
safe.
That's your safe word.
Yes, actually, Reynolds.
I feel like Keith
so I
Conroy
don't
is going
wanna-
to continue to show us that Herd are the bomb diggity. And we think he might be falling from grace, and he's just gonna wow us.
Yeah,
So I got Corey Reynolds. I got Keith Conroy.
I don't want to pick the same people, so I'm gonna go Josh Rosato because I really like that ogre list.
That's a good call.
I'd be happy if Josh wanted. He's awesome.
And he's not anyone you two have already picked, so
Noted.
I'm going there.
So now it comes to me, huh? I'm just flipping through the list trying to pick someone, and I also don't want to pick
This is where
anybody
you
that these
announce-
guys went.
This is where you take off your mask and announce that you've secretly entered the tournament and are showing up.
I picked
I
myself.
pick myself.
Puts on a luchador mask and goes, "I'm Johnny Sleeves."
I'm gonna go with Nick because I really like this Trident Realm list that we were just looking at, and having flipped through all of the lists one more time to look at them, I think it's still my favorite list.
Nice.
Nick's
At this
gonna
point
win his
level.
first 4 games. He's going to win his first 3 games, and then remember who he is on turn 4.
And then
or round
and
4.
then the Sunday curse will set in.
That's exactly what he does.
Wow.
That's what he
Wow.
does. Leads the tournament
Well-
going into round 4.
This is the year for people who have Sunday curses to break them. So
Hashtag Joey Greek.
So
Exactly.
Greg,
It sure is.
who do you think's in it to win it?
I can't
Are you
make
gonna
predictions.
pick? I was gonna
Be-
say, are
with-
you gonna pick yourself or
No, my horse is in this race, so I can't make the predictions.
I was gonna be like, are you gonna pick yourself, or are you gonna be kind and pick someone else?
So the next vote is kind of like your unexpected pick, the dark horse, the underdog, the one people aren't expecting to take this event home, but might just have a shot at it.
Step forward.
okay,
Red
I went
Warrior.
last. I went last, so I'll go first this time, and I'm going to say Brian Ring.
All right.
I'm gonna say trees.
You got the tools, you got the talent, do it.
all the trees.
Brian Ring and his Force of the Abyss, Ren and Treebeard's Revenge.
I want Corey to take it down, Corey Wallazer, but I'm going to go with Steve King. Because Corey is like
Oh wow,
reading
Steve
Five
King's
Masters.
is Cory Reynolds' apprentice. So it's like the
I don't know if apprentice is the right word. I don't know if Cory has apprentices like that, right? Just he has bros he plays with all the time.
Oh, see, I thought he was like grooming them out in
I
Western New York
I don't
to
think the Steve
to
King
take
goes to
over.
Cory Reynolds and goes, "How do I play this game?" Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
So it sounded like Ashley picked the trees as I was picking the trees, so I have to pick someone else.
A lot of trees. You don't have to.
You don't know. We
Johnny
could be
Sleeves.
tree friends. We could be
Pick
tree
Johnny
friends.
Sleeves. Do it.
Johnny
As much as it-
Sleeves.
As much as it disgusts me, I'm going to pick Greg Person.
Oh
But wait.
That's
Mainly-
amazing.
Mainly because I know this will curse him.
wow. Oh, that was some next level.
That is some next
Second
level
level shit right
manipulation.
Wow.
And,
The spike pick.
I
Oh,
need a
man.
sip of
Because
my
I-
water.
and because I heard that this was Greg picking the filthiest, nastiest list and trying to actually compete for general now. And if this is the filthiest, nastiest list he could come up with, he needs the help. He needs the vote of confidence.
All right. So next is a special award to the Harvest of Souls GT called aptly the Harvester of Souls, which is awarded to the player who gains the most attrition points throughout the event. So it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It doesn't matter how many attrition points you give up. It's just how many did you accumulate by the end. So who's going to kill the most stuff?
Chris Murphy.
Oh, I was gonna vote for Murph.
Still can.
Speedy Basilians charging everything.
Hurting my feelings.
This is partially based on, and this might be totally wrong, but this is how my brain works. At TNT, where they have the 4 horsemen scoring, and someone goes in entirely to score for attrition,
Yeah.
Shannon Shoemaker brought an all speed-based Basilian list, and I think took the attrition award that year, or at least I could be totally wrong on how he did with it, but his thinking at least was like speed Basilia is the way you kill the most stuff if you don't care about how much stuff of yours dies. So I'm gonna go Chris Murphy and see how badly that fares.
I'm going to go Cory Reynolds. I think that Varangur and Monster Mash will beat some stuff up. He might not win every game, but I think he's going to kill a whole lot of stuff.
Oh,
Yep.
sure.
Solid two Huskarl regiments.
Right.
It's a solid pick.
Better,
2 Huskarl,
better-
two Lords on Frostfangs.
Yeah, better
I'll go
do some
with-
killing.
I'll go with Chris P. Just to make sure there's 2 Chris's in the ring.
Wow. At the end of the event, there'll be only one Chris remaining, but
Yeah, they're racing for pink slips,
Yeah.
as in their names.
As in Social Security cards or something.
Sure. I'm gonna go with Jeremy Gagne,
the Elite Elves.
Elite Elves. If he wins, he'll win big.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right. Final prediction here. Another award that is unique to the Harvest of Souls is the Sacrificial Lamb, the player who gives up the most attrition points over the course of the event.
The Great Khan.
Oh, you beat me to it. Damn.
Yeah. I was
That's
gonna
it,
say,
bad.
Khan has so many-
Picture goblin bodies flying in
Everywhere.
all
That's what I was
directions.
thinking, like, he wins even if he loses like 70% of his army, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it's
Yeah.
a question of attrition, the Great Khan's gonna lose everybody every time.
I'm not sure if you picked up on this because you didn't mention it when we were looking at the matchup, but DeGreat Khan also doesn't have any inspiring in his
Oh
list.
gosh.
What?
Oh, Khan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't need it.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
His
Khan.
only heroes were the 2 Bang It.
The bang
That's
it's.
amazing.
Don't
Yeah.
need it. You've got bombs.
He's the
He
bang
doesn't
it.
need it.
Gotta like him the.
Quantity has a quality all its own.
That's right.
I'm in the same vein. I'm going K2.
Oh, damn it. That was my backup. Damn it.
Faster, Mike.
I know.
I think,
Ah, the
I
War Kings. The War Kings.
for me,
Running the
Kings.
sacrificial
I'm waiting
lamb.
for the workings chat to get mad.
there is. So
Somebody
this is
pick
not.
Josh
This is
and
not
Jay
meant as
next.
an insult. Like he might do very well, but he has
Oh,
no
yeah.
shooting, no magic of any kind, and defense for units. He has to engage and trade and kill. So I think he's going to kill a lot, but I also think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to have a lot of his army dead every game. So
Ron Ricci just declared war on me. I'm sure. Somewhere he's shaking his fist.
I'm going to say Kevin Spear.
Oh, Kevin.
Well,
Sorry, man.
Kevin.
It's a lot
Sorry,
of human
man.
grist for the mill.
It's a lot of humans to get ground up. Yep.
Texting him right now.
Sorry, man. I love you, but I think you're going to get run over like a truck.
All right, Ashley, final pick for.
You
I
did
said
not
Con.
need to add
I
that.
said Con because I was mad.
Oh, you're also going Con.
I said I don't care. I'm doing it.
Should.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I completely.
I mean, it's the right
impose-
answer, so.
I self-impose the don't pick someone else has picked rule just to make it interesting. It's not like a rule.
And I was like, well, then I'm breaking the rules.
There you go.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you, and even Jake for his limited participation earlier on this stream, for donating your time to do this for us. This was awesome. For everybody who's listening, who is participating in the event, I'm going to email out the Easy Army PDFs and the picture of the terrain map for you, so you can see that in greater detail, not have to scroll through the video to take a look. And I look forward to seeing you this weekend. Any last thoughts from the judges?
Sorry, I can't be there.
I miss your beautiful faces. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun,
I
guys.
wasn't talking
mutual.
to you, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a really fun room of people with good lists, and like the strength of the list. There isn't really any bad ones in there. There's ones I don't like as much, but that's just more personal preference. So yeah, I think it looks like a great event, and hope it goes well. Who's actually running it, Greg?
Jim Ellsworth, who's one of our local guys. So he's heavily involved in the club, but he doesn't travel a lot out of the
He let
area.
us stay in the house once, though. So when we came,
True.
very nice.
I hope everyone has an awesome time, especially Mike Atkins when he shows up with the steel chair in the sixth round.
He's like, I am the ringer.
Right.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, no, GTs are officially back. Have fun, y'all. This will be a good time.
Totally. Yeah,
So
buddy.
in
Thank
my
you.
order.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks so much, Greg, for taking us through that. Coming up in the near future on Dash 28 Live, we're going to have live matches for you from the Quintessentially Quail Cup. There should be some of those every weekend. We're working out the first weekend schedule for that now, so there'll be some matches scheduled, and we'll post about those later in the week. So make sure to subscribe so you can get notifications as soon as those are scheduled. And other than that, I can't think of anything else. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out and doing this. Thanks, Greg, for organizing this. And until next time, I'm your host, Mike Atkins, saying you stay safe out there. And we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live. Bye, everybody.
Take care.